All right, guys, calzone. It's a food that needs no introduction, so we're just going to jump straight into it. We're going to start with 620 milliliters of room temperature water, and then 5 grams of dry active yeast, and then we'll go in with 10 grams of sugar. All right, so you're just going to give that a little mix, let it sit for 5 to 10 minutes, and you'll start to see some bubbles and stuff forming on the top, which is a good thing. That means your yeast is alive. And I've talked about this in past videos. It's called blooming the yeast. A lot of people have been saying that it's not necessary. I'm here to tell you there is nothing worse than putting all of your ingredients in, all of your flour and everything, and then come to find your yeast is dead and you have to throw out an entire batch of dough. So yeah, I highly recommend doing this just to make sure your yeast is alive before you go ahead and put all of your flour in. So that's what we're gonna do next. All right, so now we'll go in with 60 milliliters of olive oil and then 1,100 grams of bread flour. And you can use all-purpose if you want, but just keep in mind if you use all-purpose, you're probably gonna need more than 1,100 grams. Not a lot, probably just like 1,200 or something. I haven't done it personally, but you can just kind of mess with it and see. But you'll definitely need more all-purpose than you would if you're using bread flour. So I highly recommend bread flour if you can get it, and it should be pretty easy to find in your local grocery stores. All right, and the last thing for the dough is 20 grams of salt. Now we'll take the dough hook attachment, put it onto the mixer, raise the dough up, and then we're just gonna turn it on like a low. I just put it on like a 2 or like I guess it's called the stir setting or the 1 setting, stir. You're just gonna let it go for about 5 minutes. Honestly, it'll all start to come together. As you can see, it's pulling away from the sides of the bowl, and that's what you want. Once it starts to get a little smoother, as you can see right there, that's when it's ready. And like I said, it should take about 5 minutes. Go ahead and remove the bowl, and then we're gonna dump it out onto a clean work surface. All right, and I know a lot of people don't have stand mixers, so this is something you can definitely do in by hand. You know, you can just put all the ingredients in a large bowl. Usually start mixing it with like a spoon or a rubber spatula. Once it starts to come together a little bit and you know, everything starts to kind of come off of the sides, then you can put it out on a floured work surface and just knead it by hand. And it's the same thing. It's going to take about 5 to 10 minutes to knead it to get it smooth like this. All right, so using the same bowl, we're going to put about 1 tablespoon of olive oil in the bowl and just kind of make sure that the sides are coated. And then we will take the dough ball, put it back into the bowl and cover it and let it rise for anywhere from 30 minutes to 2 hours. After about 2 hours, you should uncover it and it should have doubled in size. And what we're gonna do, this is so satisfying, just punch it down. Basically, you're just trying to get most of the air bubbles out, and then we'll dump it back out onto the work surface. And from here, now we're just going to cut it into our dough balls. All right, so like I said, we're gonna cut these. Just take a kitchen knife and a scale and just cut off slices of it. Obviously, you're not gonna be able to get it perfect every time, so just kind of work with it. You can see here, I cut off a little too much and then a little not enough, and so you just want to try and get it to where it is 8 ounces. And then once we get 8 ounces, we'll just go ahead and kind of roll those balls or roll the dough into a ball shape. And because when you put it in the fridge to let it rise again, you want to make sure that the shape is pretty circular. It's just going to make it a lot easier when you're stretching out or rolling out the dough to make the calzones. So you can see here what I'm doing is kind of pulling it and tucking it under itself, and then you just kind of on the bottom kind of pinch it together and twist it until you get like a nice smooth round ball. All right, and also this dough recipe is going to make 8 8-ounce dough balls, so that's 8 calzones, which I know that's a lot, and they're actually pretty big. So unless you have a big family or you've got entertaining guests or something like that, or if you just really like to eat a lot of calzones, you could definitely cut the recipe in half, and it would be a little easier to manage, a little more, open up some more room in your fridge as well. So now that we've got the balls shaped, we're going to take a little circular Tupperware. If you don't have Tupperware, you can just use a bowl or something, and then just spray a little bit of nonstick spray in there, drop the dough ball in, cover it, and put it in the fridge for 24 to 48 hours. Next up, let's talk cheese. So I have got, for the 8 calzones that I'm making, I've got 2 pounds of whole milk, low moisture mozzarella. And again, I'll say that whole milk, low moisture mozzarella. And I'm just shredding that or grating that. All right, so we're gonna put that mozzarella in a large bowl, and then we're gonna go in with equal parts, so 2 pounds of whole milk ricotta cheese. And just gonna get in there and give that a really, really good mix. All right, so let's get into the toppings, or I guess fillings, since it's a calzone, I guess you would call them fillings. Anyways, so yeah, for mine, I'm actually just gonna be doing a vegetable calzone. For pizzas and stuff, I really do like pepperoni and sausage and things like that. And for some reason on calzones, I don't know, I just prefer vegetables. So that's what we're doing today. But like I said, it's up to you. You can put whatever you want in here. I'm just doing mushrooms and some onion and some spinach, with a little bit of fresh parm. So you'll see when I show you guys how to put these things together. But for now, I'm just basically just doing a little bit of vegetable prep, and this is something that you would definitely want to do ahead of time. All right, so speaking of things you want to do ahead of time, you want to make your sauce. So I've got a 28-ounce can of whole peeled tomatoes. I'm just going to dump that into a little pot, and then we are going to go in with 1 tablespoon of dry oregano, 1 teaspoon of granulated garlic or garlic powder, 1 teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of sugar, and 1 tablespoon of olive oil. And the last thing I like to add in is just like a kind of like a small bunch of fresh basil, if you have it. If not, you can use dry basil, or you could just leave it out, honestly. But if you want to use dry basil, you can use about a teaspoon of dry basil. And then we're gonna just blend everything together. I'm using an immersion blender here. If you don't have an immersion blender, then you can definitely use like a regular blender or a food processor. Once everything is blended up, I'm just gonna turn the stove on, put a lid on, turn the stove on, and let it simmer for about 20 minutes. All right, so 1 hour before you're gonna make the calzones, go ahead and preheat your oven to 450 degrees Fahrenheit. All right, so we're gonna take the dough out, sprinkle a little bit of flour on the work surface, and then I like to roll the dough in the flour, as you can see here, then just lay it out on the table, and we're going to start flattening it out. I like to start with my hands first, just kind of push all of the air pockets out and just kind of make it, you just want to keep the round shape, but we are going to use a rolling pin. So you're going to start from the middle and push out to the edges and rotate. So start from the middle, push out to the edge, rotate it, and that'll keep the circular shape of the dough, which is what you want. And you want to get this dough to about 12 inches. All right, so now we'll start putting in the toppings or the fillings. So I'm going in with 1 cup of the cheese mixture that we made. All right, and now we're just gonna put in whatever you want. I'm doing a little bit of fresh parm here. And like I said, you can do whatever you want. You can put, some sausage, Italian sausage, or some grilled chicken or something like that. Just keep in mind, if you are gonna put meats in there, make sure they are cooked beforehand. You don't wanna put raw meats in here. You want to make sure that everything that you put in is pre-cooked, unless it's vegetables. Of course, vegetables will have enough time to cook in the oven, but raw meats like chicken or something like that is not going to have enough time to cook fully in the oven, so you'd want to do that beforehand. Now we're just going to fold it over. You can see I stretched it out a little bit just to make sure that it has enough coverage. Fold it over, and then we're just going to start sealing everything. And this is one of the most important things. You want to make sure that you completely seal the edges. So I'm just going to go around with my thumb, just kind of push everything down, make sure that it gets sealed. And then The next thing that I like to do, and this will make it look a lot prettier when it comes out of the oven, is fold the edges over themselves. So as you can see here, fold over and push down again. So fold, push, and just go around the entire edge. All right, so now we're gonna take some scissors or a small knife and cut a small slit in the very top of the calzone. I've got a little cookie sheet here, a little nonstick cookie sheet, put a little bit of spray on it, and then put the calzone on top, and then we're going to coat the entire top of the calzone with more nonstick spray. If you don't wanna do that, you can brush it with oil, or you could leave it. You don't have to do this. It's gonna give it like a really nice golden brown finish on top, so that's why I like to do it. And I will just pop it in the oven for anywhere from 15 to 20 minutes. Probably 18 is ideal. You'll see here, like it's like bubbling out of the top, and does that not look awesome? I mean, so pull it out of the oven. And key to calzones is you want to let them rest before cutting into them, because if you don't, everything's just going to run out. So take it out of the oven, let it rest for at least 10 minutes, and then you can cut it in half, serve it with a side of your marinara sauce. And trust me, these are awesome. You're gonna love them. Everybody's gonna love them. So enjoy. All right, so there we have it, homemade calzones. It's really, really easy. You guys, please give this one a shot. Let me know what you think. And if you haven't already, give this video a thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and stick around for more videos coming soon. Thanks.